is a presentation of the Hello Chicago Network. Hello, Chicago Network is on the air. Hello, everybody. I'm Ryan Yanishadis, and it's time to focus for this Friday, February the 13th. Friday the 13th. Good Lord, sweet Jesus. I'm Ryan Yanishadis. Welcome once again as we are finishing off the week, and it's all-star break for basketball, hockey break for the NBA, or for the NHL, obviously. So we're going to be doing a lot of different things over the next week, talking baseball coming up. But first, before we get there, we have to talk a little bit about the Bulls. Okay, let's talk about those Chicago Bulls here for recently, the last two games of the first half of the regular season. Obviously, this team is in full tank mode now. And I mean, that's just what we're going to expect from this team from here on out. But first off, Monday at the Nets, they lose 123 to I think it's 105. I put 125. But anyway, they lose that one, play terrible against the Nets team that's really not doing anything too well. Obviously, they're a rebuilding team. Remember, the Nets just a few years ago were a Kevin Durant inch of foot away from beating the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, but they're a completely different team now. They lose that one to the Nets. Then Wednesday, you got Anthony Simmons got to return to Boston, and then of course Nikola Vucevic coming out doing his thing against the Bulls, and the Bulls lose 124 to 105. So they lose both these games. Obviously, right now it's full tank mode for the Chicago Bulls, and that's really what you're going to look at now as you start approaching the second half of the season. We're going to preview the second half of the season a week from today. It's going to start next Thursday, but we'll talk about it starting Friday and look at their schedule and really talk about it. But these last two games, and basically it's probably a microcosm of what we're going to see the rest of the season. And then the next question is Billy Donovan going to stick around for a rebuild? I know there's some talk about possibly him coming, or the Duke head coach coming out and having a chance to be a head coach from a former, he's from Illinois. So I think you throw that in there as well. So a lot of big things could possibly be happening for the Bulls, but does Billy Donovan, who's a Hall of Fame college coach, want to go through a full rebuild, really want to go through all this stuff? So it'll be interesting to see what happens there and what kind of choices they make and see what they can do. It's hard to watch Bulls basketball right now. It's been very tough. And like I said before, I'm not in the part time of my life where I want to watch bad sports. After the excitement of the Bears, the drop off to a Blackhawk team that's subpar, and then a Bulls team that's, you don't know what direction they're in. And we're probably going to be asking this question for years. It's just very tough to watch, very tough to see. So the Bulls lose their final two games. All-Star weekend coming up. Used to be so much fun. I believe Caleb Williams is actually going to be in the 3-point contest celebrity one. Saturday night's usually fun, but it's been hard for them to kind of come up with the dunks. Mac McClung's not going to be in it, so I wonder who's going to win it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. That'll be tomorrow night, the celebrity game and all that tonight. I believe it's in Los Angeles. And then Sunday's the All-Star game. So All-Star weekend. That is that. We'll pick up Bulls basketball coming up on next Friday. We'll preview the second half because Monday we have a special episode of Hello Chicago as well. So that is all coming up. So the Bulls lose their final two games. They get to take a bit of a break. They'll return Thursday against the Toronto Raptors. So that is the focus on the Bulls. We're going to take a time out here on the Hello Chicago Network. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the additions for the Cubs and the White Sox as pitchers and catchers reported this week. So we'll kind of start slowly getting you ready for baseball as we're about 6 weeks away from opening day. But first, it's time for the Hello Chicago Rewind and the most important focus of the day, the Ryan Focus. Break. By the way, I started watching some of the Olympics. Tough break for Lindsey Vonn. She had a torn ACL. Then she competed. Then she had to get carted off or flown out of there. So best wishes to her. And she tried to gun it out, but watched a little of the snowboarding. Something I look like I'd want to do, but not exactly sure I'd be able to do it because I mean, this weekend shows me anything that I'm old. That on Saturday I was excited to get home to put Drano in my sink to drain the sink, and then on Sunday I pulled a muscle exercising, so a little sore here on this Monday. So maybe I should just stick to what I'm doing because even what I'm doing makes me hurt and makes me old.
The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. I said the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. The boys.
Hey, you saw right there the look at the Team USA Olympic schedule. I believe they had a game yesterday. We'll have an updated one, I believe, on Monday's show and next Friday. It's very patriotic over the next month between this and then the World Baseball Classic, which is MLB's version of this. So pretty awesome. So that's also, don't forget Brandon Anthony every Tuesday and Thursday, Raise the Bar TV. They're doing their thing. And they're going to be joining me Monday. We're going to talk about franchise favorites for both the White Sox and the Cubs. So I'm excited to see who their favorites are. We're going to do that on Monday for the whole show. And then don't forget also a week from tomorrow, we're going to be doing Fan Focus Live Bulls Pistons. So that should be a shellacking, but we'll have fun with it. Brandon will be joining me as well. But now let's talk additions and additions first for the White Sox. We'll go from recent to the longest. Eric Fetty, who they traded in the during at the trade deadline last year, just re-signed him so you could possibly throw him back into the rotation. Then you have Jordan Hicks. They acquired him in a trade. I like him. He was a good St. Louis Cardinal, a guy that can pitch. You can possibly, I'm not sure whether they're going to use him as a starter or they're going to use him out of the bullpen. He used to have some gas. I'm not exactly sure where he's at right now, but I think that's a nice spot for the White Sox to be able to get Jordan Hicks. Sir Anthony Dominguez, I think, sets up as your closer, and you got him locked in for 26, 27, and an option for 28. So I like, he was in those Phillies teams, so he's had some playoff experience. I think that's going to be a nice signing right there. Lamont Wade Jr., late night Lamont, which there used to be his nickname with the San Francisco Giants. I think that's a nice pickup there. A guy that has some pop, possibly could be used as a designated hitter. Another guy, Luis Angel Acuna, was acquired in the trade for Luis Robert Jr. And some of the between him and then we're going to talk about the other one. White Sox not looking very professional, although they kept Chris Getz kept saying, "Oh, he's so happy Luis Angel Acuna is a switch hitter." He's not a switch hitter. I didn't know that, but I only know this through this story. So that's the rough thing right there. But I think he's gonna be a real test. If he really strives, you're gonna see this team, I think, win a lot more games than people expect. But I think it's gonna be fun to see how he plays and possibly as an infielder. So I think he's the main cog in that team's machine. Trade deadline wise, Sean Newcomb they got from the former Atlanta Brave. He's going to be in that rotation as well. So you're going to see bits and pieces. Obviously, you're going to see some guys that were on this team last year in the rotation. But I think you're really going to get a chance to see some guys and see what's going to. It's one of those years where you say, let's just throw some stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And then the big one, Murakami, and of course they had his name spelled. That was the other thing that happened. So White Sox not making the best headlines the first few days of spring training, but Murakami signed as a free agent. I think he's going to be interesting as well because you don't know what you're going to get. Is he going to be the power bat? White Sox need that power bat in the middle of the order now. I think you got him there, and obviously you still have Benintendi as your guy, and it's going to see what happens. And I like those additions by the White Sox. The pitching is going to be interesting, but they had a closer now. See what you get with the rotation and see what you do with this offense. So on paper, I think it's going to be very exciting and fun to see what the Chicago White Sox do. Now let's talk about the Chicago Cubs, who they've had. We'll go backwards. They signed Vince Velasquez, former starter with the Philadelphia Phillies. I like him. I think he's going to possibly, I mean, this team did exactly what they needed to do in the offseason. That was set up something because starting pitching is the reason why they didn't beat the Brewers. So I think you set yourself up to have 8 to 9 and possibly even more. Zach Gallen's still out there as of today. So we'll see what happens there. Dylan Carlson, up and Chas McCormick, 2 signings, 2 guys that could possibly be there as the fourth, one of those guys going to compete and win the 4th outfielder job. I like that one. Alex Bregman, obviously the huge one. He's the one that solidifies this lineup, and I think it's going to be fun to see what he does in the middle of the order. I think he's going to play well at Wrigley Field. He did even last year with Boston, so I see him having a good season on the north side of Chicago. So I think that was a big one. Justin Dean as well, they signed. He was the guy that almost touched that ball in the Game 7 of the World Series, or Game 6, where the ball got stuck under the wall. So we'll see if he's able to make the team. Edward Cabrera, with adding him to the rotation via trade, that's going to be huge. They added some great guys: Hunter Harvey, Jacob Webb. Also, Tyler also going to be an interesting one. He was like the first signing, and everyone made a big deal. Oh, they're going after this guy. He could be an underrated guy and a DH guy. Moises Ballesteros as well, going to be your guy. They got some other, Holby Milner as well. Christian Bethancourt possibly as a backup closer. So we shall see where this team lines up, and it's exciting. Spring training starting a week from today. The spring training is going to be Cubs versus White Sox. We'll see where these teams are, and hopefully by opening day we'll get a test to see where they are. A lot of injuries, of course, the first couple of the week. Nothing Cubs or Sox related. Hamate bones where people are missing opening day. So you check your Twitter feed and you just kind of flinch and hoping it's none of your guys. But nonetheless, that is the additions for the Cubs and the White Sox. We'll get more in depth with baseball coming up in the when we get closer to opening day, as we're about 6 weeks away. On Monday, Brandon Anthony going to join me. We're talking franchise favorites. We're going to give our list of favorite White Sox, favorite Cubs, and it's our favorites, not the best, but the favorites. Are going to be joining me coming up on Monday, on Monday's show, and then a week from today, we're going to do look at the Bulls schedule, and then take a look at the Bulls schedule, and then take a look at we have an announcement as well. So that's all coming up. So everyone have a great weekend. Enjoy Valentine's Day. I'm actually going to be in Chicago this weekend to see Jessica Kirsten, my fiance Renee. We're going to stay out there, have a dinner, go out and see a comedian that we like very much at the Riviera Theater. So it should be exciting. So we'll be back Monday. Everyone have a good weekend. And don't forget, like this video if you like what you hear, subscribe. Don't forget as well, comment if you have any thoughts, if you like or hate what your team has done. Also, it's tough. It's right now a rough patch in Chicago sports, so I get it. But do that as well. But don't forget to subscribe to the Hello Chicago Network YouTube channel every Monday and Friday, 3:12 Central. We're focusing on Chicago sports. I'm Ryan Yannishadas from the Hello Chicago Network. We're the focus of Chicago sports.